Go.
Everyone, we've just finished our section 19.1, which was about children with disabilities. And you finished the exercise that we did for the review, and you wrote a summary of that chapter part. Does anybody have any other questions about that?
Do children with disabilities do better in mainstream classrooms?
They do. There's been a lot of research about how children are successful, and they found that children with disabilities do improve their behaviors and their academic standings when they are in a classroom that's mainstreamed, at least part of the time. There's a law called IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is designed to make sure that children with disabilities now are receiving education to their ability. And it says that they should have the least restrictive environment. So when they are able to go into a normal, regular classroom, that is preferred. But they do have a plan of education that they do follow, and the teachers do follow that. Good question. Thanks for asking that. Okay, we're going to move on to talking about the chapter 2, section 2 on chapter 19, which is about child abuse. Now I want to tell you that I'm real excited to talk about this because it gives me an opportunity to recruit some more child advocates, to prevent and educate people about child abuse. And so thank you for being in this class today. You did read your chapter, didn't you? Everybody read it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I do have some questions. Those are questions right from your chapter. What is child abuse? You know?
Yes. The physical or emotional mistreatment of a child.
That's right. When a child is being physically mistreated or emotionally mistreated. This doesn't mean that they didn't get to have an iPhone for Christmas. This is when they're real seriously hurt or real seriously emotionally hurt. Okay, what are the 4 types of child abuse?
Physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, and emotional.
That's right. Physical abuse can be anything from slaps to hitting with objects to twisting arms to throwing down, shaken baby syndrome, which can cause child illnesses and other problems, disabilities. Also, neglect. Neglect is one of the most difficult types of child abuse because nobody's there. And this can be from people just being intoxicated or high on drugs, being in the house not able to function, leaving kids at home without supervision, not giving them food or clothing to wear in the proper clothes in the winter time. It also is about not giving children medical care. That's called medical neglect. Say, for instance, the doctor prescribes some medication, the parent just decides they don't want to give it to the kiddo. And that child, say this child had diabetes and they didn't get their insulin, what would happen? You may know?
They die.
They would die probably, because they need that insulin. So there's medical neglect as well. Sexual abuse is anything from fondling a child, showing them pornography, talking to them about adult sexual things that they're too young to hear and talk about, demonstrating sexual things to children, and a variety of other behaviors is considered sexual abuse. Okay, calling a child sexual names is also sexual abuse of a child. So we talked about physical. Emotional abuse is when a person is continually putting down a child and calling them names, telling them they're no good, telling them they're stupid, and all those horrible things that some people say to little children. And that just tears their little hearts down, where they can't think that they're okay and good. Very important things to know about that. Of course, that particular one is very hard for CPS to do anything about. Okay. The next question, or what are some of the causes of child abuse? Rolando?
Drug abuse,
mental illness, anger, and stress.
Okay, are those things for the parents do?
Yes, the parents do.
The parents do that? In many, many cases, but not all, the parents are using drugs or alcohol excessively. And they're misbehaving. Their anger gets larger. A lot of people are very stressed. We talked about this when some of you were talking about it with me while we were reading the chapter about what groups of people might be involved with child abuse. Which groups do you think? Anybody? Frankie?
Could be anyone.
Could be anybody. It's not necessarily just people that are wealthy or people that are poor.
It could be single parents.
It could be a single parent. It could be a two-parent family. It could be a step family where a step parent has no patience. One of the biggest problems, well, there's several big problems, but one of them is no patience. Thinking a child should be able to sit up straight at the table and eat their food like an adult. Little kids aren't going to do that. Okay? They're not going to be able to clean up all their messes like we want them to. They can help, but we have to demonstrate. And people that have inappropriate expectations of a little child may be physically abusive to that child. So those are some things that we're concerned about with families. Also, mental illness. We mentioned mental illness. That's one of the bigger things. There's a lot of people with mental illnesses that go untreated. They're bipolar, their moods swing back and forth. Sometimes they're really, really angry. Sometimes they're really, really nice. The kid doesn't know what to expect. So that's a real scary thing for children. Those are different kinds of child abuse. Okay. Well, our goals for this chapter section are that we know about child abuse. The objectives for this chapter. That we explain and analyze what happens to children. So we're going to do this with some activities, okay? When they're abused. Many children that are abused grow up to be abusers. It's about 30%. And it's amazing that it's not a higher portion of that. Many children that are abused have a higher percentage of pregnancies in a youth situation. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with a kid. They also are a little bit higher substance abusers. We're also going to be talking about and making some plans about what we can do to prevent child abuse. We're going to describe how to report suspicions of child abuse. And this was another question that I had for you. Who is a child abuse reporter? Who needs to report?
Teachers.
Teachers. Anybody else?
Witnesses?
Witnesses?
Neighbors.
Neighbors?
Police officer.
Police officer?
Maybe the kid?
Maybe the kid, yes. Mandated reporters are people like teachers, counselors. As a counselor, I've had to report lots of abuse situations to the hotline. There's a hotline, which, by the way, is on your reference sheet that you have there that you will be able to use when you're looking up some more information while you do your activity. Also, you can report child abuse online. So we do have lots of resources. We have on the board here some resources. This is one of the best ones I've seen. It's Child Gateway, the Child Abuse and Neglect. And this one is this the Gateway? You need to go back up. But you'll see that it has warning signs and all sorts of things. It's got myths listed here. And I think this is the help page. There's another one that's put out by the U.S. government that the Welfare Information Gateway, they have a lot of information on this page. It's free. You can scroll down and you can look up lots of different things. And you have that address on your resources there, so you can use that. So our activity, we're going to have two activities. The first activity It's not going to happen right away. That will be planning and carrying out a program for Child Abuse Month. That would be April, and the ribbons are blue, and you can plan some child abuse prevention exercises and activities, and then you'll be able to evaluate how that turns out. But for today, we're going to do the exercise where we're looking for prevention, detecting how we can break the cycle of child abuse. You're going to be in groups of 4. You're going to work together to create a poster that you are going to have these resources written down here. You're going to have some identifying potential abusers, how to treat abusers and potential abusers. That means how to give them treatment. Then there's one on just how to prevent child abuse, and then how to treat victims. Your resources would help you. These things that we put up here on the board will help you, and I will help you as you do these exercises. Are we ready to go to work? Okay, thank you.